Well, good day, fellow model builders. We're going to try something new. I haven't done this before. Most of the time, my YouTube shows were strictly slideshows. But issues have arisen that I really feel the need to convey to you all. I don't mean to sound jaded or anything, and I tell you, I used to really applaud OcCre and their way of doing business and things, but with this build I've had a pretty big problem. I'm going to try and relay that to you along with going along with the video. As you can see, so far everything is pretty much textbook, the same way we do all of these. And when we get to a few parts here, I will try and convey, there's my supervisor. I will try to convey the problems. And I must say too that I didn't even realize there was a problem until I really started on the rat lines, and in fact even the upper rat lines, and that's when I really noticed a problem developing. And instead of going into that right now, I'm going to go ahead and try and follow along with the video just a little bit to kind of explain the way I do these builds. Right now you're just looking at some bent planks. The way that I bend a lot of my planks is I'll put them in that jig and with them wet, and I'll steam them, and then I'll let them cool and dry in some sort of a form so they'll maintain their shape. That last little bit was a twist, and here again, here's another, that was another little plank jig. And I'm sure we all do this the same way. We all plank our decks, put pencils for the lines and little bumps in there for the nails. I'm sure we all do that the same. We're starting though to come up on something now with these rubbing strakes that you might find interesting, and that is they're all painted black, as you can see. And I've kind of discovered a neat way of doing that. I do all of my black coloring with a felt tip pen, and there's no paint at all on this ship, but there's a lot of black, and it was all done with a felt tip pen. It works really well. It really soaks into the wood. It has a kind of a shiny sheen to it, so all working well with the black, that is. So pretty good view there. I take a lot of poetic and artistic license when I do these kits. I don't really pay too much attention to what it's supposed to look like. I just get a bug in my bonnet and I decide, well, I think I'll do this one mostly black and natural, and that's just kind of the way I carry on. So that's, of course, what we're seeing here. This kit is actually a very nice kit until we get to the two problem areas that I will be explaining here pretty soon. Rudders, pretty straightforward. They all look pretty much the same. Grating, same too. All looks pretty much the same. Grating with the ball holders, or the cannon ball holders, I should say. And now we're just getting the mast holes and everything lined up. Bow's starting to look like it's supposed to. Here's just a little jig that I make to make these stairway companions. And I'm not getting hoarse yet, but one thing that makes this kit nice is the gun ports. They're all pre-made, of course, and instead of just having a bare opening, it's got a nice brass frame around it. I think it looks pretty good. You can have the doors open or closed, so it looks pretty good, I think, once it's done. Cannons, same way, same as all other ships, I believe. All the other ones that I've ever done, they're pretty much the same. I didn't put in all of the back hoist and pulleys and all of that to pull them back into position. I just put those basic ones on there and left it. Sometimes that stuff, when you put too much on there, it just starts looking gaudy, and I don't like that look. So I get these on there and I leave it that way. So we're getting pretty close to the point now. We're going to be starting on the masts. And they basically are basic. There's not a whole lot I can tell. I might have a few little tricks that I can pass on. And while I'm talking about that, I can say that I've been wondering if I should put a video out showing some of my techniques and the way I do things. Not saying that mine are any better than a lot of other people's, but some people might be able to learn something. And I'll tell you, that's how I've learned. Is I've been doing these models for 30-something years, and the way that I've learned to do them is by watching other people. We take a little bit of what everybody else can do, and we tweak it and we make it our own. So that's such the case with all of the black. I don't think a lot of people would have thought of using a black felt pen to do that instead of painting, but it works. Now here's one of the big problems. This big piece is supposed to be the stern decoration, and I'll tell you, it was the first big headache, because there's no way you can make those things fit the back of the ship. It just doesn't work. I've tried everything. My basic history is in metallurgy and metalwork, and I know how to move metal, and that stuff, whatever it is, will not move. I ended up cracking it in 3 different places, trying to adjust it and get it to fit to the back. And I went back and forth with OcCre. They tried to tell me, oh, you need to carve into the wood of the ship to make it fit. Well, we all know better than that, I think. We're looking at the top now, and that's where the other major problem is going to be. I'll start explaining now, and then when a picture comes up, you'll probably be able to see a little better what I'm talking about. But in all ships, it doesn't matter which one of these you're doing. On the tops, they're called the fighting tops because the Marines used to climb up there and have a vantage point to shoot down onto the decks of the other boats, but we usually just call them the tops. Some people like to call them the crow's nest and everything, but the true term is the top. But the top has another function, in that it holds the dead eyes to attach the upper level of ratlins. And none of and there's a good shot of it there, but I'm not to the point where you're going to understand it yet. There's no dead eye that should protrude farther forward than the mast is, because that way the yard arm will not be able to go up and down without interfering with that foremost ratline shroud, if you can understand what I'm saying. If you can't, well, now you're going to start seeing a picture here real shortly. There's futon shrouds there, and they're attached to the dead eyes on the top. Now we're kind of coming up there, but I don't have a view that you could really see. Now there we go. If you can come back to that, you can see that I've taken out the foremost dead eye. There's supposed to be 5 there, but there's only 4 because the 5th one is so far forward that the line would go on the front side of the yard arm, which we know that can't happen because the yard arm has to be able to go up and down. Now in this ship, as in most of mine, I always put the yards in the lowered position because I don't like having the sails on my boats. They just take away too much of the detail. But we're coming up now on the view that you will be able to see, hopefully, what I'm talking about a little bit more. But she's almost done now, so we're getting the little pan view and everything. By the way, let me get back to the rear stern decoration there. It's a piece of junk, the metal. I texted OcCre and I complained about it, and I told them I'm not going to carve into the back. So they sent me this. This is what was used before that big hunk of metal right there. And talk about hard to paint. You try painting that thing and have it come out good, and it can't. But they were nice enough to send me. They said they had to go find one, but they had an old stern piece, and they mailed that to me, and so I used that because I told them there was no way in the world that big hunk of metal was going to work. So they were nice enough to send me that. The next problem I had, here it is. Now, if you look where that forwardmost that I would be, that would be in front. Looks like I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to cut this off for now. If anybody's interested in another video that has my techniques and different things, the way I do things, leave it in the comments, and maybe I'll do one. Anyway, thanks for walking. Thanks for watching. Bye.